So this video is going to go over a bit of an abstract concept for F2L look ahead, but that is just awareness. So being aware of certain things you should be paying attention to. So it depends on what F2L case you're solving and how the solve is going for what you should actually be doing. All right, so what's going on in this solve? The back slot here is already solved. And here we have this case. And just to simulate if you had actually been looking ahead, there's no other corners in the top layer. This is the only edge. So there's nothing really good in the top layer, or at least not enough information there. But as a beginner to look ahead, you may do this case while looking at the top layer and then realize you now have nothing to do and you would pause. So we actually have to use the context of this solve as information for what we should do next for look ahead. So because we're doing this case only takes pieces out of here and nowhere else. So there are some cases that may take some things out of a back slot, so we would look at that. But in this case, it's just the front slot. So we're going to only look at the front slot, which has nothing. So after the first few turns, we should realize, hey, we don't have enough information. And so immediately shift over so your thumb's not blocking this piece and look at what this is. And then there we go, we have more information now. So then next you could just do this pair from the back so that you can see this one better. All right, here no slots are solved yet, and we're about to solve this one as our first slot. So if you pay attention to what this one does, it takes things out of here, which as you can see, they're both yellow, so we're not gonna look at that. And it also takes a corner out of the back here and puts it over here. So if you know that's gonna happen, then what we're actually gonna do is as we solve this, just pay attention to what shows up back here. And then once we know what that is, then we can just do it as the next case. And now instead, this is the exact same case with no slot solved yet, but this one is different. I'm not gonna look back here because I really have no clue what's going on back here. And instead I'm gonna look at this one because I know that this corner is going to come out as a result. So as I solve this case, then I want to just probably solve this one next. Well, I see this one, so I'll solve that one, then I'll solve this one next. So even for the same F2L case, you still have to look in either the back slot or the front slot or the top, depending on what's being affected and where the useful pieces are located. During that split second when you solve the F2L pair, you have to make sure you're using your awareness to know exactly where you should be looking. Another example of awareness helping you know where to look is for when you make the cross. Typically, if you're going to look ahead to first pair, and so here I set up this case, but I noticed that all of my corners are going to be in their slotted positions, which is very, very bad because that means I have to take them all out. So instead, what I could do is just do U prime before the cross begins, then just do the cross. I have this pair to work with, but then now I know that I have a ton of things slotted, and typically slotted corners are what makes the hardest F2L cases to look ahead to. And so when I insert this, I'm not gonna look at the top because that would be useless. There is absolutely nothing good at the top, or at least nothing complete at the top. So I'm going to look in the slots. So as I insert the first one, I'm looking here, nothing here, unfortunately. So I got a corner here. And so immediately as I do this, I'm going to rotate. I know there's a corner coming out of here, so I'm gonna look over there, and there it is. And then now I'm going to look right here first to see how that corner comes out, and then do this, and then lastly. So if you just go into F2L blindly, then yeah, you wouldn't have that information. But since you have a lot of time for inspection, and you should use that inspection time to find a cross plus F2L pair, as you're looking for the F2L pair, you should have a general idea of whether corners end up in the bottom layer or not. And if they are in the bottom layer, you'll have to spend more of your look ahead effort looking in the bottom layers instead of in the top. So just remember for awareness, knowing to look at the top or knowing to look at a specific slot may actually be the easier part. For example, for this, I obviously know that the pieces in the top will move around and the thing from here will come out. But the part that requires a lot more experience and skill is knowing exactly where certain pieces will end up after seeing where they started. So this corner starts here, but after solving this pair, do you know where it will end up? So this one's one of my favorite examples to show because it's hard to track where this piece goes, but you can just memorize that it does this. It's gonna be right here at the end. So we do the case, and there it is. Then you can extend this to edges as well if they're in the top layer or for the pieces that came out of here. And most of this just comes from experience because that's a lot of information if you want to memorize, but sometimes you can just memorize some easy cases like that. If you look ahead the same way every time, then it won't always work the same way and you'll have very inconsistent solves because every solve is a little bit different and you should be looking in different places. So hopefully this helps you guys with look ahead consistency. And that's it. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.